All right, so we're gonna listen to Danielle Smith, this clip specifically from her Breitbart interview, her Breitbart feature, whatever. I always remembered Breitbart as being like a right wing thing, like a super right wing thing. So, who knows? Maybe it is. I haven't checked them out in a while, and I'm sure they are probably worse now than they ever been. And pretty much she's just, telling the American government that they should put a pause on all the tariffs and stuff because the tariffs are, are coming off favorably for the the Liberal Party because they're getting a lot more traction thanks to it. And she doesn't like that. She wants Pierre Poilievre to win because she wants somebody who's going to, make sure that unchecked neoliberalism is the way and do a lot of tax cuts and all the terrible Margaret Thatchery, Ronald Reagan-y shit that we don't like. So definitely don't want that. And here we go. Let's listen to the Banshee herself.
Pierre Poilievre is the name of the Conservative Party leader, and he was miles ahead of Justin Trudeau. But because of the what we see as unjust and unfair tariffs, it's actually caused an increase in the support for the Liberals. And so that's what I fear, is that the longer this dispute goes on, politicians posture, and it seems to be benefiting the Liberals right now. So I would hope that we could put things on pause, is what I've told administration officials. Let's just put things on pause so we can get through an election. Let's have the best person at the table make the argument for how they would deal with it. And I think that's Pierre Poilievre. And I do agree with you that if we do have Pierre as a...
Also, I don't know who recorded this. If this is how Breitbart actually does their fucking stream or whatever, but it's the gamer breathing for me. I feel like I'm in a nerd dungeon and I'm sitting next to somebody who's just hot and sweaty, hasn't showered in a few weeks. That's the type of breathing I'm getting from this. It's a little intense. It's a little intense for me.
As our prime minister, then I think that there's a number of things that we could do together. Pierre believes in development. He believes.
It's giving. Well, actually, and it's icky. I don't like it. I don't like whispering into microphones, and I definitely don't like excessive breathing in the microphones. I hate it when I do it. That's half the reason I got a microphone for myself, because I just can't stand the sound of it. It is absolutely gross.
Believes in low-cost energy.
I don't want to hear the inside of somebody's
that we need to have low taxes. Doesn't believe in any of the woke stuff that we've seen taking over our politics for the last 5 years. So I would think that there's probably still always going to be areas that are skirmishes or disputes about particular industries when it comes to the border. But I would say, on balance, the perspective that Pierre would bring would be very much in sync with, I think, where the new direction in America.
All right. So, as we heard, she wants the American government to cool down a little bit so that Pierre Poilievre has a shot, now that the polls are now favoring the Liberal Party over the Conservative Party. Something that I've seen a lot of people call treasonous. I even made a TikTok about this earlier, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is treason, this is treason, this is treason." I don't necessarily think it's treason. It's definitely bordering election interference for sure, but it's not great. We don't want our premiers to be on the side of the country that is trying to, annex us, trying to invade us, trying to take over our fucking country. And we don't want them, we don't want premiers who are going to specifically snuggle up to politicians in America, especially, who are only going to serve them and their economy and not the whole of Canada. Everything that Danielle Smith has been doing so far has been just excruciatingly selfish, has been very, very narrow-minded, just doing, her thing for her. And I don't even think half the time that she's even caring about Albertans at all, and is mostly just doing it for, for the oil companies, for the economy, for her especially.
Come under fire. Premier Danielle Smith has come under fire after seeking help from the Trump administration, which she now denies. In an interview with a U.S. conservative news outlet, she blasted former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's handling of tariff threats, while also pitching the idea to U.S. officials to hold off on implementing tariffs until after the federal election, with the hopes of seeing conservative leader Pierre Poilievre elected. The federal election has been called, and candidates are now making their case to...
Yeah, it's funny that she's literally denying it when she definitely knew she was being recorded when she said that, and when, you know, other people were in the room with her. Like, she had to have known she was being recorded, right?
To lead our country, but Premier Danielle Smith might be making the most noise. In a March 8th interview with the right-wing U.S. news outlet Breitbart, Smith claimed the tariff war was hurting the Conservatives' chances at taking power, saying, "The longer this dispute goes on, politicians posture, and it seems to be benefiting the Liberals right now," asking the Trump administration for help, adding, "Let's just put things on pause so we can get through an election." One political scientist calls her plea...
Oh my god, this reminds me, I literally saw, let me see if I can pull it up. I literally saw somebody post the weirdest thing about Danielle Smith, in regards to everything that's going on right now. Let's see. Danielle Smith. Let's see if I can find it. It was really weird. And I'm pretty sure they used an AI picture of her. If anybody's seen it on Twitter, you probably know. No, that's not it. There we go. Nope. Sorry, I'm just looking for it right now. Un momento, por favor. No, yes. Down. No. Oh my god, I literally saw it. I should have saved it. I saw it earlier when I was making my Tiki talk about this. That was like, oh my god. Who would make such a weirdly thirsty, by the way, thing about Danielle Smith? It was, in my opinion, quite disturbing. Oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to find it, am I? Okay, I'm gonna let this play. I'm gonna go back to OBS. I'm gonna let this play while I look for it.
For help, astounding.
Hurts Danielle Smith because it looks like she is
Watch, I'm
supporting
probably gonna find
the
it
United
immediately
States
after.
in the middle of a major
I
trade
did.
war
Oh my god.
against
Okay.
Canada.
In a
So
statement to CTV News, the premier denied asking...
so you guys are not prepared for this, okay? Like, again, TikTokers, I'm sorry, you're only gonna be able to see this on Twitch. Oh god, is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? What the absolute fuck is this? This has to be AI. This has to be AI. It's so weird. It's giving like, you know, that trend where all the incels were putting clothes on like naked people's bodies. It's giving that. It's giving that, and I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. You like they like her eyes and her forehead look the same, and like obviously it's her mouth and obviously it's her nose, but like the body is way too young for her. Like I don't understand it. Like, why? And then the tweet is like, Danielle Smith made a simple request for Trump to drop the tariffs until after the election. Now the left is trying to cancel her over it. Yeah. Sorry. And it's some dude named Mark who I don't know what his dealio is. Trying to cancel her for it. They're just jealous that our leader is smarter and hotter than theirs. It's like, ew. Ew. Like, I'm hoping it's satire. I'm hoping to fuck that it's satire, because like, ew. I don't like it. I don't want to look at Danielle Smith like that. No, thank you. Okay, back to this.
The U.S. to interfere in Canada's election, calling it false and offensive, saying, "Now that an election has been called, I would reiterate my hope that the United States would refrain from placing tariffs on their closest ally. I, along with the vast majority of Albertans, are obviously concerned with how vulnerable and weak the Liberal government has left our country after the last 10 years. In that interview, she also claimed former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
I mean, you know, just completely forgetting the fact that we just came out of a fucking pandemic. I mean, it's still going, obviously, but like completely forgetting the economic shit that happened with that. Not defending Justin Trudeau, of course. I'm not a huge fan of him at all. I think that he's an annoying and neoliberal. The same way that like I also am not too much of a fan of fuck, what's his name? Mark Carney either. But like in comparison to the conservatives, like it is so far way better than growing up in the Harper era. Like I grew up in the Harper era. My first election, I know I'm aging myself right now. My first election was the 2015 election where we elected Justin Trudeau to get rid of Harper. And I gotta say, I'd rather live under a liberal who I don't like than a conservative who I really don't fucking like. You know what I mean?
Trudeau got into a ditch during his November meeting with U.S. President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, saying he said that tariffs would result in Canada collapsing, and I think that was the wrong message to convey because it made us sound very, very weak. It should be noted Smith was not at the
Yeah, that was the point, Danielle Smith. You really think that he wanted to make fucking Canada look strong in comparison to America, the most insecure country in the world?
meeting and just relying on Trump's version.
Trump has said over and over again that Trudeau told him that tariffs would destroy Canada. I just can't imagine the Prime Minister of Canada saying that.
On Sunday, Prime Minister Mark Carney addressed Smith's comments, highlighting her alignment with Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and Trump.
One of the decisions that Canadians
Which
will have
also
to make,
really isn't working in Pierre Poilievre's factor when he's trying to go around and be like, hey, I have nothing to do with Donald Trump. Well, other conservatives say otherwise too, so maybe you should deal with that. Maybe you should work on your messaging. Maybe you should actually fully denounce Trump.
They want a government that is unified, that's standing up for Canada, and is taking focused action to build a better economy, or they want division and Americanism.
Well, my response is that the president has said that he thinks it would be easier to deal with a liberal, and with good reason. The liberals have weakened our...
And I'm definitely going to be getting into this later, but not too long ago, like a few weeks ago, when Pierre Poilievre was on Jordan Peterson's little like talk show thing that he has, he was literally praising Donald Trump and saying that he is a big, strong man who is so smart and so intelligent and is able to smell weakness. Like, you don't say shit like that unless you are wanting somebody to like you. You know what I mean? Which makes Trump being like, he's not for us. He's not for us. He's not a Trump conservative. A little bit more funny because it's probably really, really, really bothering fucking Pierre.
Our country. He's been very blunt that he wants a weak Canada that he can target.
Pratt believes the temperature could rise on Smith's comments later this week.
Yeah.
Let's see what
I've got a
happens
thing coming
when
up
she
with
goes on
that.
Ben Shapiro's show this week.
That
Right? Another
Shark
far-right
and Dragons Den
podcast.
weirdo later.
Does she echo those same things?
Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
TV News Calgary. Okay, also sorry for anybody watching on Twitch. There's going to be ads because I am broke and not paying for the YouTubes. All right.
Sarah Levitt is in our watch.
So now we're going to be watching, first we watched CTV's coverage of what's going on with Danielle Smith, and now we're going to be watching CBC's coverage of what's also going on with Danielle Smith.
Washington Bureau this morning.
Again, denying that that she even made those allegations or made those requests of the American government, even though we verbatim literally fucking heard her say it. Also, again, sorry TikTokers, you can't see it unless you go on Twitch. The one anchor lady who was there during New Year's, who got super sloshed, is the one talking to the other reporter about it. And every time I see her, I can't unsee how fucking drunk she was on New Year's Eve.
Sarah, a story that involves the Trump administration, the trade war, and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is really becoming a key issue today in the campaign. Walk us through what she said and to whom and the implications of it all.
Yeah, so these are from comments that she made in a March 8th interview with a right-wing media company, Breitbart. But those comments have since been noticed and criticized. It's important to note, though, that this was before Mark Carney had been elected leader of the Liberal Party. All the same, some have said...
I knew it was right-wing. I knew it was still right-wing. Goddamn. I was right. I shouldn't second-guess myself.
Said what Smith's comments could be seen as election interference. Let's listen to what she had to say.
So that's what I fear, is that the longer this dispute goes on, politicians posture, and it seems to be benefiting the Liberals right now.
Ew, they got the loud breathing on the fucking CBC News too. Ew. Again, like as somebody who like literally grew up in nerd dungeons, because like one of my dads is a indie comic book artist, so like I spent my entire childhood literally growing up hearing that sound of the kind of breathing, and it's like, bro, breathe through your nose.
Now, so I would hope,
or go talk to your go talk to your doctor and see if you have a deviated septum.
Hope that we can put things on pause, is what I've told administration officials. Let's just put things on pause so we can get through an election.
Now, Danielle Smith's office is vehemently denying the accusations that this is election interference in any way. She issued, the office issued a statement yesterday saying, any suggestion the premier is asking the U.S. to interfere in Canada's election.
I mean, kind of sounds like it to me.
Is offensive and false. And then Danielle Smith herself issued a statement.
I think Danielle Smith herself is offensive.
Statement saying, now that an election has been called, I would reiterate my hope that the United States would refrain from placing tariffs on their closest ally and largest trading partner during the middle of the election. Smith.
So literally doubling down on what you already previously said. Okay. Okay, Smith. Sure. Cool. That's one thing that like, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, you're too into the CBC. I don't care, whatever. I grew up poor. It was the only free thing on TV. I like that CBC is actually going into it more rather than just being like, oh, her office denied it, and then not going into the actual fucking statements like CTV. Ugh.
Does say that she has concerns with the Liberal Party, but that a decision to give that party a fourth mandate is, as she says, ultimately up to Canadians.
Sarah, the leaders are putting out the early campaign messaging, obviously, and so much of it hinges on U.S. President Trump. It was a key theme dealing with the Trump administration in their speeches to launch their campaigns. What are they saying in terms of how each of the leaders will pledge to deal with Donald Trump?
Well, there isn't any doubt that what is happening here in the U.S. and President Trump's comments are having a major impact on this campaign, whether it's on tariffs and the economic impacts in Canada, or Trump's repeating taunts to make the country the U.S.'s 51st state. We saw from Liberal leader Mark Carney a campaign ad that featured Mike Myers, who now lives in the U.S.
Sorry, I know I'm supposed to be more like transformative, but I really just want to listen to what she's saying.
But it was all about Canadian pride. Now let's hear from some of the party leaders as they launched their campaigns.
We need a stronger foundation because, let's be frank, we are facing the most serious crisis of
he's talking at St. John's. Love St. John's.
Our lifetime. Because of Donald Trump's unjustified tariffs and his threats to our sovereignty.
We will build out the vision of an East-West nation that John A. brought to this country.
Boo! First booing for Pierre Poilievre, secondly booing because the mention of Sir John A. Macdonald. Boo!
First, to stand up and say, we are not Americans, we are Canadian!
Let me be perfectly clear.
Okay, does anybody else, like, I said this yesterday, but does anybody else watch the, like, clips of like Pierre Poilievre rallies, and we're either gonna see somebody they know in them. I always do. I always do. I have a lot of family who are really big into the conservative parties. My grandmother has worked in both federal and provincial elections, so with the Progressive Conservative Party and the Conservative Party of Canada. Um, and I'm always so worried. I mean, she went to one of the rallies, which is also why I'm worried because I don't want to see her on TV and be like, "Oh no, my grandma." But I also at the same time want her to take me to one because I want to actually like go and talk to those people who actually go to those rallies and like see why they're there. Like I understand that they're like there obviously for Pierre Poilievre. They want to show him support. They want to do the whole like, "Ooh, this is our guy" type of thing. But like, especially the younger people, I really want to pick their brains. And unfortunately, that bitch won't fucking take me. Even though I've asked very nicely, I'm like, "Girl, take me." But since I normally don't ask to go to political events, and usually she's just dragging me to them, I think she sniffed that there's a little bit of something going on there. And she won't fucking take me. So rude. She took her friend. She went twice and took her friend to one because her friend was like, "Oh, I don't know who Pierre Poilievre is." Bitch, take me. I'm your fucking granddaughter. Spoil me. But also, I would, I would definitely be professional. Don't get me wrong, because I have been to many different political events on the conservative side before. And I've been to conservative parties where my grandma was like working at it and was trying to help somebody get elected before. So I can be cordial. I can be, you know, looking sweet, doing the sweet thing that like conservatives like, no talkie from the ladies type of thing. But I was too enthusiastic with asking, and it totally backfired on me. I don't know. Maybe I'll break her down, and she will send me the one now that there's like an election going on. But who knows? We'll see.
We will never be Trump's 51st state, not in name, not in values, not ever.
So interesting to note that just a couple months ago, an election campaign in Canada would be considered talking about the issues within Canada, and now it's the issue of the relationship between the U.S. and Canada and the threats that the Trump administration has made towards the country. It's clear there is almost a primary ballot box question during this election: who is best to handle Trump?
For sure. All right. And then when it comes to Danielle Smith, we've got just a couple more videos. I was going to watch her remarks at the leaders dinner in Edmonton, but I might skip that. For now, we're going to go to Global News's coverage of Jamik Singh denouncing what Danielle Smith said about wanting the Trump administration to meddle in our politics. And then I think I'm going to go from there to, that was better, to the PragerU East Coast Gala thing with Ben Shapiro. So let's go to the
I think it is shameful. If you break down what Danielle Smith is proposing, she's talking about taking steps to harm the liberals and to prevent tariffs in a political manner to create a political outcome. She should be talking about stopping tariffs to protect Canadians. To just stop.
Facts though. She should be doing it for the good of all Canadians and not for, pushing a political agenda and trying to promote one fucking party getting in.
Them entirely. She shouldn't.
And that's the same with like a lot of Pierre Poilievre's messaging when it comes to the tariffs as well. It's a lot of like, oh, the liberals did this to us and blaming the liberals, and not so much trying to come together and fight against you know, Pierre Poilievre and the fucking, or not Pierre Poilievre, sorry, fight against Donald Trump and the fucking Americans who were trying to annex us. But, you know, what do I know? I'm only Canadian and don't want to be forced to be fucking American.
Be saying
no offense, Americans.
To do it in a way that benefits one party or another. If you're loyal to this country, if you care about Canadians, you would say, stop the tariffs. Don't hurt Canadian workers. Don't hurt Canadian families. Don't hurt Quebecers. And so to me, it's very shameful what she's doing. She's literally playing games with people's lives. Like, this is not a game. Like, tariffs aren't a game to win or lose elections. It's about people losing their jobs. Here in Montreal, we already know people have lost their jobs just by the threats of the tariffs. And we know more people are going to lose their jobs when these tariffs start to really take hold. And so this is not a game. This is serious. We got to defend our country. We got to stand together. We can't afford to have people going off and trying to cut deals that hurt political parties.
Yeah, and try to cut deals that only benefit one group of people and not all of fucking Canada. Like, come on, Danielle Smith.
We should be defending Canadians.
And like, this is something that, like, I said earlier in my TikTok talking about this. I'm not surprised that Danielle Smith has done this, considering the fact that she has been cozying up with the American government for a while now. Literally, going down to Mar-a-Lago before the election results were called. Literally going down to the inauguration ball, like joining the festivities down there for the inauguration. Yeah, she's gotten way too cozy with the Americans, even going so far as, like, even before that, inviting the pendants of America, like, unfortunately past Canadian Jordan Peterson and Tucker Carlson to Alberta to do talks and stuff, and it's just it's so annoying, it's so gross. I wish Danielle Smith wasn't so self-centered and wasn't so, like, just strictly party aligned, and was a lot more Canada focused rather than just politically driven focused. You know what I mean?
Defending Quebecers, defending people. And that's what New Democrats are about. We want to fight for you, we want to fight for your family. And in this time when there's so much uncertainty, who do you want in Ottawa fighting for you and your family? Who's only going to be focused on you, not on billionaires, not on CEOs, but you and your family. That's us. That's this amazing team behind me. That's New Democrats.
Yeah. All right, like I said, I think I'm going to skip the dinner remarks that I was going to do, and we're just going to go straight into the PragerU ad. Ooh, sorry, chat from Twitch. I do not pay for
it. It is my pleasure.
All right, so for anybody who doesn't know, Danielle Smith on the 27th of March, so this Thursday, is going to be featured in a gala with PragerU, and she's going to be speaking with Ben Shapiro, the wet ass pussy Ben Shapiro, and I'm going to be playing an ad of her, you know, or I'm going to be playing an ad advertising her going to this PragerU gala. I myself have not bought tickets. I do not want to go to America. If somebody's, like, streaming it online, I might try to catch it on stream. But until then, I'm going to be waiting until after, until people start, like, posting stuff, until clips are posted or whatever. But I just wanted to show this, especially within context of, like, what she said previously, where she's, like, you know, talking to the American government. She's, you know, trying to get a lot of favors with the American government and working with the administration. I wanted to show that she's fully on board with the conservative project, the right-wing project in America right now.
It is my pleasure and honor to invite you to the East Coast Gala on March 27th in sunny South Florida with Ben Shapiro and the premier Danielle Smith from Alberta. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. Now, Canada may not become the 51st state, but there's certainly a lot of interesting things that we need to discuss. Go ahead, click the link right now below so we don't sell out before you get your tickets.
Yeah, so that is Danielle Smith wanting or joining on March 27th with PragerU. I've seen a lot of people, especially when I posted about this on TikTok, I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, we should like buy a bunch of tickets and then not go." I don't want to give PragerU money. You know what I mean? Like the whole reason why they're doing galas like this and why they're doing this whole thing is to make money. So if we buy tickets and then boycott it and not go, it's not going to really bother them too much because we're still contributing financially to the PragerU experience. So I don't endorse that, but some people might. I think it's not a good idea. And I also think that maybe Danielle Smith should cancel, considering the fact that, she's in a lot of hot water right now, considering what she has said recently on Breitbart, that maybe she toned down going to American right-wing media conglomerates and, spending some time there. But she's not exactly the brightest person out there.